people especially, but among people of all ages. But like they do every 4 years, Republicans continue to use bogus claims of vote fraud to suppress voting and to influence elections in the 11th hour by pressuring federal and local officials to investigate and prosecute violations where no violations exist. The reality is that there have been only a handful of cases in this state of voter fraud. The Republicans are simply trying to scare voters and keep them at home, as they did 4 years ago when Secretary of State Blackwell changed the rules frequently leading up to the election, confusing even elections officials and former elections officials. It was clear that their whole intent was to suppress the vote. We as elected officials should be encouraging more people to participate in the process, not fewer people to participate in the process. And that's what's heartbreaking about this, that most of us as elected officials want more people to vote. Unfortunately, those people who are on the Republican Party in this state clearly, as they have for several years, want fewer people to vote. At the same time, John McCain and his fellow Republicans are leveling baseless attacks on voting rights and launching groundless legal actions. On Friday, a Republican effort to get hundreds of thousands of Ohio voters tossed off the rolls was rejected by the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court. It's clear Republicans are using a systematic and coordinated effort of frivolous lawsuits in official government positions to scare Ohioans and to suppress voters. They're blanketing the state with mailings and robocalls that even leaders of their own party have decried. The most recent example is the Hamilton County prosecutor, who also serves as John McCain's Southwest Ohio campaign chairman, who requested personal information for individuals who registered and voted during the 6-day window when you could do that. Legislation, a law written by Republicans when they were in control of state, totally in control of state government, something they approved of then, but something for whatever reason they disapprove of today. There was also the Greene County Sheriff, Gene Fisher, Republican, who requested registration cards and address change forms Thursday for all 302 people who took advantage of the early voting window that overlapped with the registration deadline. Again, legislation, a law written by Republicans when they controlled all of state government. He told elections officials he had been inundated with phone calls from people concerned about possible fraud. But there was no proof. It was a blatant abuse of power. After being exposed, he was later forced to withdraw his request. Then there are the repeated frivolous lawsuits, frivolous lawsuit after frivolous lawsuit, where Republican operatives, Republican fundraisers, people who have fed at the Republican trough for decades are putting these lawsuits, clogging up the court system, and more importantly, raising fear among Ohioans about a vote fraud that simply doesn't exist. The point is clear. Republicans are desperate. They're using the courts, causing taxpayers to spend money. They're using their elected officials, those few that will go along, to advance their partisan agenda. It's systematic, it's concerted, it's shameful.